Welcome to Soul Aligned Manifestation, a gentle space to reconnect with your vision, realign with your energy, and manifest in a way that feels deeply true to you. I'm your host, Alison. Here you'll find grounded guidance and insight to help you bring your dreams to life while nurturing your well being every step of the way.
Hey there, and welcome back. Today, I want to talk about something that is pretty common in the manifestation space. So, a lot of people use very popular laws like the law of attraction to manifest and bring in their desires. But what happens is that other laws are forgotten about or overlooked. There are other spiritual and energetic laws that influence our reality. And when we ignore them or don't take them into consideration, we can feel stuck, frustrated, or like we're doing everything right, but still not getting results. So, in this episode, I want to talk about one of the other laws that can often be overlooked or forgotten about, and that is the law of karma. And I'm going to talk about past lives and karma, but not in a rigid way. You can think of this episode as an invitation because whether or not you fully believe in reincarnation, the truth is that many of us feel like we've lived before and we carry fears, patterns, relationships, and gifts that sometimes don't make sense in the context of just this lifetime. Some people resonate with the idea that we've lived other lifetimes before this one, and others see it more metaphorically. Either way, exploring patterns that feel deeply rooted, like fears, relationships, or talents that seem to come from nowhere, can give us very helpful insight and can really help us heal. So, in this episode, I am going to talk about karma as it relates to manifesting. You don't have to fully buy into the concept. I just invite you to stay open and see what resonates. So, most people are familiar with the concept of karma and that you reap what you sow, what you send out comes back to you, and so on and so forth. Think of karma like a boomerang. Whatever you throw out, eventually it comes back to you. But not all karma is the same. Sometimes it's something we did coming back to us so we can understand how it felt. And other times it's like a bruise on our energy that sticks with us and keeps getting bumped until we heal it. But today I want to talk about two kinds of karma. And before I do that, it's necessary for me to talk about life lessons. So in the beginning, Source fragmented itself into little fragments, more commonly known as souls, in order to experience itself. When I say source, I'm talking about the original energy or intelligence that created everything. You can think of it as the pure, loving, creative force behind all life. Some people call it God, some people call it the universe, spirit, or the divine. It's not about religion, but just about the deep awareness that there's something greater that we are all connected to. You could think of it like the sun breaking into millions of little sparkles. Each sparkle is a soul, and that includes you. Every soul carries its own light and its own unique path to grow and shine brighter. So, in order to experience itself, Source fragmented itself into little fragments, and these soul fragments absorb specific energies based on their environments of origin, like the energy centers of training that I talked about in a previous episode. And these soul fragments would gain certain strengths, but with each strength, there comes a corresponding challenge. For example, deeply nurturing souls who are very supportive of others might struggle with taking care of themselves. Souls with strong leadership qualities might find it difficult to surrender control. Souls incarnate to evolve, raising their consciousness and gathering the energies that they lack by learning lessons here on Earth. We are each individualized fractals of this source consciousness. This means that each of us is a unique expression or a fractal of a greater whole. Again, often referred to as source, God, or universal consciousness. This universal consciousness is all that is. Every energy, every soul gift, every life lesson is an aspect of the divine. So before we incarnate here, we choose a curriculum of life lessons that become the focus of that lifetime. And it can take anywhere between 5 to 15 lifetimes to complete a primary life lesson. We have a primary life lesson and then a set of secondary life lessons. So, a karmic cycle is basically how many lifetimes it takes to master a primary life lesson. When we're in the process of learning these life lessons, there's a lot that can happen. We often begin learning our life lessons through more extreme experiences, especially early on in our soul's evolution. This usually involves experiencing the polarities of a particular life lesson from different angles. It's kind of like learning to ride a bike. Sometimes you learn by getting lots of help and encouragement, and other times you learn by falling and getting back up. Both teach you how to ride, just in different ways. So let's take the example of self love as a primary life lesson. In one lifetime, you might incarnate into a nurturing, loving family. As a result, you develop a strong sense of self worth. In this case, self love is something you learn naturally through the support and the care that you receive. But in another lifetime, you might choose to incarnate into a dysfunctional or abusive family, one where love is conditional or it's absent. And in that experience, self love becomes something you have to cultivate on your own, often in direct contrast to your environment. So these are two ends of the same spectrum, opposite experiences that both teach aspects of the same lesson. And it's often through these more intense or polarized lifetimes that trauma can occur, especially when the lesson is particularly challenging or when the soul is still gathering the energies it needs to integrate the lesson fully. So during this lifetime where the soul incarnated into an abusive family, clearly they're going to experience some traumatic events because they're learning a more extreme side of self-love. So what happens is when you experience trauma during these lifetimes, that trauma can become a wound that stays with you in subsequent lifetimes until it's healed. That wounding that stays with you throughout these subsequent lifetimes is what I'm going to refer to as negative, unjustified karma. It's basically wounding that continues to stay with you, that you continue to manifest according to in subsequent lifetimes. It's not wiped clean unless you do the healing work to resolve it. So that's one way that you can acquire negative, unjustified karma. I'm going to get into the second way. Before I do that, I want to talk about what is called justified negative karma. I think that's the kind of karma that most people are familiar with. The idea that your actions eventually return to you. So, for example, if someone causes harm to another person, that energy creates karma and it's going to, in some form, come back around to that person. That is negative justified karma. And the key thing to understand with negative justified karma is that it must be balanced. That is simply the nature of this universal law. Sometimes the balancing happens quickly, and other times it unfolds much later, even across lifetimes. But either way, the energy always finds a way to resolve itself. And when this balancing happens, it's not about punishment, it's about wholeness, it's about balance. Just wanted to make a note of that. So, just to give an example, let's say that you do something very hurtful to somebody knowingly in one lifetime, and then in another lifetime, you're on the receiving end of those actions. So you're basically put in their shoes. That's essentially what karma is, right? Where it comes back to you and you experience what it was like to have that done to you. It's during the rebalancing of the justified karma where you can get more negative, unjustified karma. It's that wounding that you get from the rebalancing of the justified karma that sits with you again through subsequent lifetimes and it isn't fully erased. I just want to say it's very common to have had a lifetime where we have caused harm to another person because, again, it's about experiencing wholeness on the soul level. And we do that by experiencing what it's like to be on both ends of something. The law of assumption, made popular by New Thought teacher Neville Goddard, teaches that we manifest based on the beliefs held in our subconscious mind. Essentially, whatever we assume to be true, even if we're not consciously aware of it, will be what is reflected back to us in our 3D reality, also known as our physical reality. So it is true that we do manifest according to what's in the contents of our subconscious mind. However, the subconscious mind is a part of what is called our subtle energy bodies, and this is comprised of the chakra system and a complex meridian system. Chakras are like energy centers in your body. Each one is connected to different parts of your physical, emotional, and spiritual self, like your voice, your intuition, your ability to feel safe or express love. Meridians are like energy highways that run throughout your body. They help energy flow smoothly to all your organs and systems. The subtle energy bodies are like invisible layers of you that extend beyond your skin. They're constantly interacting with your environment, your inner world, and other people. It's always broadcasting and receiving information. So the wounding that I was talking about a few moments earlier sits in your subtle energy bodies. And it's important to note that whatever we're holding in our subtle energy bodies is not wiped clean in between lifetimes. It's like a computer hard drive whose memory is not erased. It's the same kind of concept. Or you could also think of your energy body like a backpack you carry from one life to the next. Every time something hard happens, it can leave a heavy rock in your backpack. If you don't take it out and look at it, you just keep carrying it. So we carry that wounding with us across lifetimes unless we resolve it. We manifest not only according to the contents of our subconscious mind, we manifest according to what is in the entirety of our subtle energy bodies. And the subconscious mind is a part of that. So if you're holding wounding from one of these past lives and it's sitting in your subtle energy bodies, you're going to manifest according to that wounding. I'm going to refer to the wounding that's sitting in your subtle energy bodies as a karmic complex. Another term that is used to describe it is called samskara. Samskara means groove, and it basically just means that you keep repeating that same groove over and over again. So imagine an old vinyl record player. If the record has a scratch or the needle gets stuck in a groove, the same part of the song plays over and over again. That's exactly what happens when you manifest according to the entirety of your subtle energy bodies. When it's holding onto a deep belief or trauma, it keeps playing the same story, reaction, or assumption over and over again, even if you consciously want something different. Now I want to give an example of what a karmic complex looks like and just how it can affect what you're manifesting. I did an evolutionary manifesting reading for a client, and this person did give me permission to share this, just FYI. So this person was manifesting a happy and loving marriage. When I did her reading, I was told there was one karmic complex that was interfering with manifesting her intention. So in this karmic complex, basically what happened was, this is in a past life. She was married to a man who was very narcissistic and abusive. And in that lifetime, she had an affair with another man who lived really far away, but he came to visit frequently and she was in love with him. And she actually ended up having two children with this other man. And at some point, she planned to escape with her two kids to start a new life with this other man. She was told it would be safe to travel with her two kids, and the travel route required that she pass through the mountains. And what ended up happening was her and her two kids got lost, and an unexpected snowstorm occurred, and ultimately resulted in her and her two children freezing to death. So it's very sad. That was the past life complex. And in these readings, I'm given negative energies that characterize the complex, and the energies of this complex were betrayal, blame, and imminent doom. So these are the energies that characterize the complex from that lifetime. When I told this person about the karmic complex, they really resonated with the energies of the complex, and they said they continue to experience these same energies of betrayal, blame, and imminent doom in their current life, which is what you're ultimately going to see play out. When you do have a karmic complex, you're going to see the negative energies of that complex play out as a ripple effect in your current lifetime. So you might not have the same exact circumstances. In fact, it's unlikely that you will, but you're going to see the energies of it play out in your current life. And energetically, it's still going to affect you. And the way that this past life character was guiding this person now in this lifetime was by telling her, I wish I had stayed with him. My children would have been safe. So, in this person's current life, they're manifesting a loving and happy marriage. However, in the contents of their subtle energy bodies, they have this wounding, this karmic complex that's telling them energetically, I wish I had stayed with my children. My children would have been safe. And it's not resolved. So, this person is still manifesting according to that wounding. And that is what they're still seeing play out. Again, it might not look exactly like what happened in that lifetime, but essentially, what it's going to do is make it very, very difficult, if not impossible, to manifest your intentions. I'll talk about my own karmic complex that was really affecting me. I decided to get an evolutionary manifesting reading because I had been doing what seemed like all the right things, all the right techniques for a pretty long time, and I still just wasn't seeing a lot of meaningful results. So when I got my reading back, this is what I was told about my karmic complex. So my karmic complex was a lifetime in the 1700s in Russia during the reign of Catherine the Great. I was a prominent general who was involved in the war against the Ottoman Empire. And basically, what ended up happening in this lifetime was I was in a foreign land and a skirmish happened that killed the men under my command and me. And it was around 2,700 men. The skirmish was successful because of the military strategy I chose. So 2,700 men were killed because of a decision that I made. In that lifetime, I was very surprised and caught off guard, and that death was really traumatic. And the negative energies that surrounded that complex were confusion, isolation, fear of failure, and withdrawal. When I was initially told this past life story, I just want to say that honestly, I didn't resonate with it at all. The first thought I had was, how is this affecting what I'm manifesting? I did not relate to being a Russian general. I did not relate to that entire scenario. I had never had any dreams of this. I had never had any flashbacks of this. I had no outward signs really that this scenario had ever occurred before. But what I did really relate to was the energies that surrounded it. Because while I didn't resonate with the scenario of being a Russian general and dying in battle, I definitely resonated with the energies of confusion, isolation, fear of failure, and withdrawal, because those energies have been very prominent themes throughout my life. So that was a missing piece that I feel came together from knowing that information. And this past life figure was also guiding me by telling me, isolate, don't consent, withdraw. It didn't make sense, but it conflicted with what I was trying to bring into my life. Since I did the healing work to resolve this complex, I've noticed a lot of positive changes, and there were some positive changes that happened right away after I resolved it. It was like I had a string of good luck events right after. Unexpected money showed up for a few months after, actually, and also a lot of unexpected support from friends and family happened right after this. And I can't say that's going to happen to everybody who resolves a karmic complex. Those aren't results I could guarantee for everyone. That's just my experience. And everything really, really started moving in the right direction after I resolved this complex. Whereas before, it just seemed like I was in this endless cycle of bashing my head against the wall and getting stuck and trying everything under the sun and eventually just giving up out of frustration. And I know there's a lot of other people who are experiencing that too. You don't have to remember your past lives to feel their impact. Sometimes you just need to pay attention to patterns in your life that won't go away, no matter how hard you try to shift them. This can show up as addictions or patterns of behavior that keep sabotaging your progress or relationships. So, negative justified karma is the karma that is the result of our actions. What we put out there comes back to us. You reap what you sow. And that kind of karma always needs to be balanced. and it's always balanced no matter what. That's just the nature of the law and how it works. Negative unjustified karma is not rebalanced, and it's basically wounding to the soul that sits in your subtle energy bodies and continues to sit with you lifetime after lifetime unless the healing work is done to resolve it. And this is the kind of karma that interferes with your manifesting. And you're going to continue to essentially broadcast whatever that wounding is telling you unless you take the steps necessary towards resolving it. And I am going to get into how you can do that in a later episode. People with a lot of negative, unjustified karma brought through from past lives won't usually succeed by using manifesting techniques alone. For them, deeper work is needed, and that is exactly what the evolutionary manifesting reading is for. In this reading, I tell you exactly where you're at in your karmic cycle. I tell you if there's a past life karmic complex that you're manifesting according to. You might have multiple karmic complexes running, but I tell you which one specifically is interfering with manifesting your intentions, and I will tell you how it's affecting your life and which healing modalities can help. I'll also give you a strategy on how to do this because the timing and the strategy are important as well. I will tell you if the complex is minor or severe and how to move forward based on that information. If you're wondering where this information comes from, it comes from the Akashic Records, also known as your soul records. The Akashic Records are a vast energetic database containing all the information about your soul's history. And using a specific process, I go into your soul records and I research this information on your behalf. It takes about 5 hours to research and deliver this entire reading. It is very detailed and very comprehensive. Right now, the readings are delivered via audio, but sometime soon I will be able to deliver them via email as a PDF document. One of the most common pieces of feedback I get about this reading is that there is a lot of time needed after to digest it because it's so much information. So I think when it's written out, it's easier to refer back to. People have really resonated with the information from these readings. Here is what Alison R. had to say about her evolutionary manifesting reading. She said, I recently had an evolutionary manifesting reading with Alison. My first thought was amazing. Alison was very thorough, and having her explanation of certain aspects made the reading extremely informative. Along with the reading, Alison supplied details of ways to move forward. Knowing how past karma and past lives are affecting me in this lifetime, plus the best techniques for me, has been eye-opening. I would recommend this reading from Alison for anybody who is frustrated, knowing they're doing what they can to manifest their best self, but constantly coming up against blocks. Thank you, Alison. I know these concepts might seem a little out there, but the reason I want to talk about them is because they're one of the biggest, actually, they probably are the biggest blind spot that most people have when it comes to successfully manifesting their intentions. Some people are able to manifest so easily, and other people really, really struggle with it. And this reading pinpoints the exact reasons why and tells you how to move forward in order to successfully manifest your intentions. Some people don't come here with a lot of negative unjustified karma. And for those people, it's going to be a lot easier for them to manifest because they don't have that negative unjustified karma sitting in their energy bodies and they're not manifesting according to that. So for them, spiritual laws like the law of attraction and the law of assumption are going to be a lot easier for them. That approach is going to be enough, and using manifesting techniques is going to be enough. But for somebody who has more negative, unjustified karma, they're going to need a different approach for manifesting, and they're going to need to do deeper healing work. So if you're wanting to know if you have a karmic complex, and more importantly, what you can do to heal and resolve it, you can go ahead and book an evolutionary manifesting reading. I have included a link to that in the show notes. And if you're curious to know if you have a karmic complex, but you don't want to know the details about it, you can do a manifestation alignment reading. And I'll tell you if you have a karmic complex. I'll tell you if it's minor or severe. I won't include any other details beyond that, but I will include recommendations on what you can do to heal and resolve it. If you suspect that you have manifesting blocks or that something is blocking you, but you're not quite sure what, I also have a free quiz that can help you identify your manifesting blocks, and I have included a link to that in the show notes as well.
Thank you for tuning in today. Your time and energy are valuable, and it truly means so much that you're here. If this episode resonated, I'd be honored if you could share it with a friend, your community, or on your socials. Keep showing up for your vision, one aligned step at a time.